YouTubers, family and friends, got the third installment of Reveal the Secrets before you this morning. Coming to you from the Golden Palace Tower office in the Philippines. My name's Edward, and this is, like I say, part 3 of the Reveal the Secrets, and this one involves Ronald Reagan and his assassination attempt and what he was trying to do in the government. And it really mirrors what he was trying to do in the government at these early stages in the early 1980s, of just like what Trump is trying to do today in the government, cleaning up waste and inefficiencies. And the insiders of the deep state knew it, and he wasn't even supposed to win the election. The ones that they had picked, they meaning the deep state, because they are the ones that tried to force their candidate into winning the presidency, so they have a free reign to do whatever their agenda is within the government, right? That's the whole thing. But Ronald Reagan won anyway, and the CIA's and the deep state's man was George Herbert Walker Bush, another Texan. That's right, guys. It's the Texan connection again. So all this inside cabal running the government within a shadow government behind the scenes have a lot of connections coming out of Texas. And as we know, the way it all worked out, Daddy Bush never got to the presidency, but then the younger son Bush got in there, and they're all as crooked as the crookedest road in the whole world. That's how crooked these people are. So here's what happened with Ronald Reagan, guys. Presidential election 1980. Bush Sr. and him were in the primaries on the Republican side, and Ronald Reagan beat out Bush in the primaries. But as a quid pro quo, because of Bush's popularity and all the pressure from the deep state on Reagan, he made Bush, Daddy Bush, his vice president, right? So Ronald Reagan won the presidency, and the deep state knew that Ronald Reagan wanted to start cleaning up the swamp, because he was actually the very first president after the coup of the assassination of the JFK assassination, right? Then the coup took over, the deep state took over the behind-the-scenes shadow government, right? And Ronald Reagan got in there and beat out Bush, and he was the first one to phrase the saying, "drain the swamp." So this was a major threat to the deep state. So what happened? He was assassinated, attempt assassination on him, and he was almost successfully killed, guys. A couple other, one Secret Service agent was wounded, and then another one of his cabinet members, Brady, was seriously crippled for his entire life because of the shots fired. And there's lots of scuttlebutt and stuff about the shooter. I mean, this guy Hinckley, come on, guys. The gun he had was traced to a pawn shop in Texas. There's one big red flag coming out of Texas again, guys. And this is a CIA plant. He's a psychopath that had a fetish with Jodie Foster from the movie Taxi Driver in Hollywood. And this guy's a psychopath, right? And he had no... he was probably brainwashed by the CIA. He was definitely a plant, guys. And there was evidence of a second direction of the bullet trajectory that was never followed up on by the investigation. And the whole reason this happened is because of this guy right here, guys. He's one of the Texas good old boys, Bush. He was Reagan's vice president, and he was, before that, he was a CIA chief, right? Head of the CIA. And, but Reagan beat him in the primaries. And then, so it was a quick quo pro. They forced Reagan to take Bush on as vice president. And then what worked for LBJ with the JFK assassination? LBJ became president because he was the vice president when they killed Kennedy, right? And so Daddy Bush figured, hey, let's try that same thing and maybe I'll be the next president. Like that was their whole plan, is for Bush to be the president. So they tried to take out Ronald Reagan, guys, but he was only wounded and they never killed him. So that's what happened there, because Reagan had already told his entire cabinet, we're going to go after all the fraud, the waste, all the billions being spent and wasted within the government and all the fraud that was going on. And Ronald Reagan was the first president since the coup after killing Kennedy to try to take him on, right, guys? So this is what happened. And they tried to take Ronald Reagan out. It didn't work. By the grace of God, it didn't work. And so Bush never became the president. But then his son became the president, as we all know. And what did his son reside over? Bush, W. Bush, right? The baby Bush. What happened during his presidency? That's right, 9/11. These guys are deep-seated criminals. That's what this whole family is a part of. The deep state, deep-seated criminals, half mafia, American mafia, half Satan worshipers. These guys are unbelievable. So that's going to be the next one, guys, on the Reveal the Secrets, is 9/11. So anyways, we all know what happened there then. Reagan survived the assassination attempt with this, whoever would believe this whole John Hinckley story? This guy's a psycho, right? Come on, right? What makes sense is this guy wanted the presidency, and because he was being groomed for the presidency from the deep state cabal. But it didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to, so Reagan became the president. So a year after the assassination attempt, Reagan continued with trying to clean up Congress and clean up the government, so he convened what was called the Grace Commission in 1982. And when they took 2 years to 1984 to report to Congress with their report, and they said over the next 15 years we can save and cut $10 trillion of waste and inefficiencies by the year 2000 if they go by the Grace Commission's recommendations of the corruption and everything that was going on within the government agencies. Even at that point, guys, even in 1982, they knew this stuff was happening. To 1984, they knew it was in the trillions that this corruption and mismanagement and inefficiencies of monies was going on, and this whole massive money laundering operation had already begun, well, as soon as the deep state took over control of government, right, guys? That's when it all really started. It was 1963. So 20 years later, it was already $10 trillion that Reagan said that they could save in the government. But what happened? They submitted the report to Congress, and what did Congress do? Ignored the report. Pretty much over 90%, everything in the report was ignored. Why? because they had already been bought and paid for by the deep state. And the deep state's financiers in the Federal Reserve and in the corporations. That's exactly what happened. And the biggest thing that I liked out of that was so revealing out of the Grace Commission was the report said that 100% of all income taxes that were collected by the government are gone and paid to the Federal Reserve for interest on the federal debt. So not one penny of your income tax, if you're foolish enough to pay them, because it's not liable. Majority of people are not liable to pay, guys, right? We already know the three divisions of people that are liable by the income tax, according to not only the U.S. Constitution, but the U.S. Supreme Court and their decisions, case decisions. And the 16th Amendment did not change anything concerning income tax, a direct tax on your labor. The 16th Amendment did not change anything except for a category of people that are liable to the tax, which we all know: government employees, government contractors, and those people residing in U.S. territories, which is land owned by the government, not the people. So that's what the deal is, guys. The Fed, it all is going to the Fed, and they're really the root problem in the country of the U.S. because it's a private corporation that controls all the money in the U.S. They control everything. They finance all this evil deep state cabal from the corporations and their lobbyists and all the paid and bought and paid for congressmen and most of the presidents, right? And now it was Ronald Reagan was the first one that tried to get out of that deep state shadow government control, and he was almost assassinated for it. And now 20 years later, actually 40 years later after Reagan's assassination attempt, now we have Trump. So 60 years, guys, over 60 years since the cabal took over the government in the assassination of John F. Kennedy, is now Trump is attacking the deep state. Now, Ronald Reagan only had he was only in office for 3 months, right around 3 months before the assassination attempt on him. And we're getting close to that now for Trump. 1 more month, and it'll be 3 months for Trump, approximately. So I know Trump is in major, major danger. If he's a true for the people guy. Now, I got my reservations on that, of it being a psyops on the people, him acting and doing many things that makes it totally look like he is fighting the deep state shadow government. But time is going to tell here, guys, what's going to happen. So I hope he's for real and he can accomplish what Ronald Reagan wasn't able to accomplish. So all us guys, good citizens that worked their whole lives to get their Social Security and raise a family in the United States, and it's all fallen apart. We still love our country, but yet we've had to take action because of the absolute tyranny and corruption and treason that's been going on now for 60 years in our government. But you know what? We are all behind Trump if he's for real, and we all want him to accomplish what we never thought could be accomplished. But we're 36 trillion national debt, and we're over 250 trillion in promises of Social Security and Medicare and all the other entitlements, guys, and all the military spending. I mean, we're never going to get out of this. We either have to revalue gold to between 50 and 150,000 per ounce, or we need to, get rid of the Fed somehow, because this thing is going to keep going, guys. It's a train wreck no matter what way you put it. But how is it really going to happen in the end? Is it going to happen by the American people with Trump trying to make it right? Or are we going to let this cabal drive us into the ground in later years with an inevitable collapse on their terms? So I'm praying for Trump to win and to eliminate all this massive money laundering schemes and corruption that has been happening for 60 years now, guys. 60 years. It's embarrassing. We should have put our foot down and stopped this government a long time ago, all this corruption. And now it's to the point where it's going to be the nuclear equation solution. It's going to be so painful for all the people and everybody, but there's no choice. We have to fight on. So good luck to Trump, and that's it for this one, guys. The next one's going to be on 9/11. So love you all, and God bless. Bye-bye.